You can't really escape it. Every day the news media, your friends, family, social media, convincing you of what they think. It's time to relax and to figure out what you think. We're here to help. I know what you've been thinking. Who ever knew that thinking could be so much fun? Okay, I think maybe I've begun to fall victim to the false consensus effect, where we think all of our friends agree with us or see things the way that we do. But I hope with reference to what we're doing here that you can see that we really do need this. Arguments are shooting at us every day. Claims are coming out of the woodwork. And we don't know how to deal with those much of the time. Not only do we consume large numbers of arguments every day, but we make a few ourselves. We don't want to look stupid. So today let's look at how claims are made by people. People don't always speak in precise language. They don't always use the words that they mean to use. So they say things that can be interpreted in more than one way. Our goal is to understand what they mean before we dispute them or respond to them. Because sometimes we don't say exactly what we mean, and sometimes we don't interpret exactly what the other person meant. So our goal is not to think of what we can make of it, but our goal is to try to understand and discover what it is. Many years ago, I was working as a young minister in Barrackville, West Virginia. And I was getting out of my car in my driveway, and some guy in an old pickup truck was coming around the block, a couple of lots over, and he rolled down his window and he yelled, "Hey, Reverend, are you having trouble getting it up?" Well, I felt insulted. I felt like someone was trying to be unkind. So I ignored him and I walked toward the backyard, and he turned the corner and he came my way and he yelled it again. And then, as I was getting near the side of the house, he pulled into my driveway asking this obscene question. I went into the house and I told my wife, "You close the door, you might have to call the police. I'm going outside and there's something serious happening." I went outside, I looked the man in the eye, and he said, "Hey, I'm the guy who sold you that tent last weekend at my yard sale. I'm wondering, are you having any trouble getting that up?" Well, context is everything. Sometimes a little bit more information means a whole lot. I'll give you one more example from my own personal experience, but let me ask you to share yours, because it illustrates the point best when we have real life events. Years ago, when my son was in the Cub Scouts, we were going to the circus together. And when we got to the circus, I went into the big tent with him and I started to go up to where the others were sitting. And someone said, "Hey, they want to take your picture at the gate." So I took my son and I turned around and I went to the gate, and I didn't see a photographer. I asked, "Is the photographer waiting for or looking for members of our troop?" They didn't know what I was talking about, so I went back to the stands again, and someone said, "No, they're wanting to take your picture at the gate." I turned around and started to go back, and I thought, what is the point? So I turned around and I said, "No, they're not there." And they said, "Well, look at your son's hand. He's holding a picture of the circus that he colored, and you're supposed to turn it in at the gate. They want to take your picture." Now, I think we can see that these kinds of misunderstandings can be funny, and sometimes misunderstandings can be tragic. The goal is not to figure out who to blame when there is a misunderstanding, at least unless someone is deliberately trying to be misunderstood. But the goal is to try to resolve the misunderstanding, if we're going to reason well. So ambiguity involves a word or phrase that can have more than one possible meaning. We often contrast that with vagueness, which really is more a matter of just having a fuzzy meaning. You don't know what it means. We make puns deliberately because of ambiguity. Some of us love them. Some of us just groan at them. but they're made possible by the fact that some words can mean lots of different things. For example, I entered a pun contest here in West Virginia last year. I entered 10 different puns, and I was sure that one of them would win, but no pun intended. Sometimes a claim is ambiguous not because we don't get the meanings of the words or the phrases, but we can't seem to see the connection between the claim and the point at issue. Maybe you've been there before, where you've been talking with someone on a particular topic, and they make a statement out of the blue that seems to be completely unrelated. You just can't get the connection. We call that ambiguity of significance. If you can't resolve the meaning, let it go. Or just ask the person, what did you mean? Ask for clarification. If the person isn't available, maybe they've died and you're just reading something they wrote some time ago and you can't figure out what the significance is. The main thing I would urge you to do is to avoid imposing a meaning on what is obviously ambiguous or on what might be. Leave it as an unknown thing. This is always timely. But today we learned that there is a memo that is supposed to be released by the White House. The FBI is saying we have grave concerns about material omissions of fact that fundamentally impact the memo's accuracy. From what we've reviewed today, is that possible? What do you think? Stop shouting, start thinking. It really is up to you.